Hello YouTube, welcome back. My Reefer 250 is 7 months old and I'm going to take you through a quick tour of some of the changes. Everything is going well. You'll notice that I changed the Aquascape a little bit. On the right here, what was happening is I was getting about 150 to 200 par readings on the top third of the tank, and this rock was mounted 180 degrees in the other direction, so the SPS frags were actually further away from the center of the tank, and they were only getting about 100 par. So I debated a little bit about replacing them, taking them off the rock and moving them somewhere higher, but at the end it occurred to me that the simplest solution is just to rotate the rock, so that way the highest part of the rock is towards the center of the tank, the midline of the tank where I'm getting the most light. So I rotated the rock, and it gave me a couple of spots to put my LPS corals, the torch and the hammer, which were fighting with each other, so I had to separate them. Moved them to the back of the tank, and now they have some space to grow. And on here I created this low shelf here. So this was essentially two pieces of rock that were piled up very close to the corner, very close to the corner of the main boulder back here. And what I did is I take them out, I created a shelf. It gave me more spots to put some SPS corals, and then I created a little arc with a small piece of rock here, a few more spaces to put corals, some swim-throughs for the fish, and opens up the scape a little bit for some water movement. In terms of how the corals and the fish are progressing, the fish are doing well, they're fat and healthy. I feed 3 times a day. I do about half a cube of shrimp in the morning, pellets with the auto feeder around noon, and then another half cube of fish when I come back from work. Corals, I usually I'm not feeding them. Once, if I remember, I'll put Acro Power 10 mils in. Corals are growing well. They're coloring nicely. Ever since I ramped the lights to 70%, noticing very nice color popping on the frags. One thing that I'm not too happy about right now is I'm getting some cyano. I had some cyano several months ago, and it went away, and I'm seeing some more cyano in the sand and a little bit on the rock. So I'm just kind of watching it closely. I've been using Vibrant Reef Cleaner for the past 2 months, and I mostly got it just to keep the tank clean, because I do feed heavy, and there wasn't a lot of algae, but there was a little bit of green hair algae, and the Vibrant pretty much wiped all the green hair algae away. And I'm wondering whether the cyano is just using up the nutrients that the green hair algae would have used up. So I might experiment with kind of stop dosing Vibrant for a few weeks and see how it goes. But right now it's not bothering me too much. It's manageable. I just base the rocks every now and then. Alright, I'm going to take you through a little tour of the sump and then a tour of the SPS. I started dosing kalkwasser to increase the pH of my tank. It was because of carbon dioxide buildup in the water in the house here. The pH was about 7.8 to 7.9, and there is higher calcification rates of corals, especially SPS, when the pH is a little bit higher. So I've started dosing kalk. And I found that about 5 teaspoons of kalk in my ATO raises the tank's pH to 8.1 to 8.2, which is close to kind of ideal. The result of me putting kalkwasser in a tank, obviously kalkwasser not just increases pH, but increases alkalinity and calcium as well. I've essentially had to not dose any of the RedSea foundation buffers, the alkalinity and calcium buffers. So far, the tank's demand have been fully met by kalkwasser, which is good. One thing that I did here, this was my New Year's break project, is I created this shelf unit for the cabinet. So I actually built this myself. So what we have here is 3 shelves. The bottom shelf is for the Ecotech power supply. It's a little bit raised. The middle tier here is for all the adapters, and the top tier is for some of our food. I put food up there, the vibrant, and my lights and my scrapers and that sort of thing. So that's been pretty helpful. And here we have the skimmer doing well. Oh, by the way, this is a fun little trick. I forgot where I learned it from. I think somebody else's video. But you put a little Ziploc baggie on here, so if it does overflow, it doesn't ruin everything. It just drips straight down here. So bubble magus working well. I've been trying to skim a little bit wet, so I've been changing the collector cup every 2 or 3 days. One thing that I'm considering is to actually install an Apex controller. So put it up here and control my lights, my heater, my ATO, have a pH probe, so that way if somehow this overdoses, then it will stop the top off, and to control the pump, so when I hit feed mode it will turn off the pump, the skimmer, and my ATO.